Okay, sorry about that. So, like I was saying, the connection part, I think, is a crucial element to the video viewership that I was speaking of. Because we kind of have maybe like you'll see other videos of like universal consciousness or what pseudoscience stuff, but in reality, there is some interesting elements to that. So we have like the phenomenon of the fifth dimension, or um, in Islamic culture, we have the principle of the unseen reality. I think this is something that people are aware of without actually being aware of, but more or less it's um, difficult to explain in and of itself because it's really not something you can describe or completely understand. But from our own personal view in terms of consciousness, there is that phenomenon that each person has within them that they experience throughout the day. I think a lot of the times people are avoiding the feeling of self consciousness because then they look too inward, and that may cause some anxiety or feelings of insecurity because they are too closely monitored on their own behavior, the way they look, how is it perceived by other people. A lot of this is explained in psychology and social psychology, but I think what we are aiming for whenever we look into these viral videos or whatever you see is the simple form of commonality that unites us as humans. And that's the humanity within each of us. And this is becoming more and more apparent and YouTube. I've noticed this, that the blending of cultures, and it's good, it's good that we recognize different cultures and respect different aspects that are universal in themselves. Simply treating other people as human beings and understanding that we have rules and regulations to live by, etc. Those type of things. However, I mean, things are, it's the world we live in, right? People have different forms of lifestyle, who they want to be, what they want to become, who they are, things of that nature. And I think a lot of people in their younger years, in their early 20s, and even before that, they're developing that. They're trying to figure out what do they want to do, and what makes them different than the people around them, and how can they be different and celebrate their uniqueness but also fit in. And a lot of times there's that conflict, right? You're trying to determine, will you sacrifice yourself for the good of all, or will you just blend in and become like everyone else and live a life of total comfort? Or so it seems, right? Go with the flow. And as Napoleon Hill would say, he said, the path of least resistance will create a crooked man. Or, I'm paraphrasing here, but that's essentially what he's saying, is that in order to develop yourself and to develop character, you in essence have to experience some hardship or difficulty along the way. If it was easy, anybody would do it, and I think that's the problem with a lot of people thinking that just because it looks really easy, or that it looks extremely simple or whatever doesn't mean that there is some type of hardship or endeavor or work effort that's being put forth. And I think a lot of times people are missing that. Just because it's so simple to click a button on your phone to watch a video does not mean that the video itself is simple or it's, easy. To put into, layman's terms. But so but I'm not going to go into a lot of detail or prolong this any more than I have to, but the takeaway for this video is create a challenge, try to stick to that challenge, and make it as simple as possible. Meaning, like for instance, the challenge of 1 million subscribers. If that is your challenge, just stick to it. Stick to that challenge, 1 million subscribers. And along the way, you'll learn and you'll progress and you'll figure out how to do more. But for now, that's really all you have to focus on. And then the rest will, like I said, the rest will develop. And then point number 2 is the idea that someone along the lines, if you're not doing it, someone else is doing it, right? Therefore, if you get to that point where you're close to doing something that someone else is doing, for instance, the movie industry, right? Times change. People get older, they retire, whatever the case may be, but there's also a new generation that follows. And each generation has its leaders, and each generation progresses, right? And, time will tell, and times move on, right? Time waits for no one, as they would say. So that's the point I'm trying to make, and I'm just saying that you have to be aware of what's going on around you, but also if you want to be a part of it, then you have to take action. You have to make it happen. Do it now. Okay, so one last thing for today that I would like to speak about, and that is creating a challenge. I think a lot of the times we miss the purpose or the bigger picture around videos. So in this video, the topic I would like to speak about is creating a challenge. For instance, 1 million subscribers. That would be a challenge. So in order for you to develop and grow, you would have to have something to go off of. So I wrote down intentionally, create a challenge, 1 million subscribers. That would be the goal in mind. And I also made an effort to write it down, which is another thing that you could use. And a lot of mentors have shown me that writing things down does help, especially if you're having thoughts throughout the day, ideas, whatever. Developing that pattern and the habit of writing stuff down will create a long-term effect. So maybe you think of it as rewiring your brain or some type of psychological loop that would instill the behavior and make it more conscious, and you're more aware of what you're doing during the day, and that could be something that could be beneficial for you in your videos. So that's kind of part 1 of the side of creating a challenge. And so that's kind of where my mind was taking me on the creating the challenge video. I think writing stuff down is good. I think creating content is good, and just getting your message across, what you're trying to say in your videos, and developing the audience. But I think once you have stuff written down, what you're trying to do, focus on your audience members. Oh, I remember what I was going to say. You're going to focus on your audience members because, you know, a lot of the times we think of movies or whatever. This is just orchestrated by companies or people that have the knowledge and experience of captivating an audience and entertaining them. And one day, that person might be you, or it may be someone you know, or it may be someone younger than you, whatever the case may be, and the next generation, for instance. So we kind of have to, it's good if you're mindful of this, because then you know, and of course your analytics may be suggest this as well. In most of the case it is, but you can look at the percentage of people that have a certain demographic in age, and you can just base your videos off of that. But you also have to be in tune with pop culture and the interest of that demographic. So I think a lot of times you can kind of complicate things, and like I said, keep it simple. So if you have or know of something that interests people on a broad scope, that may be helpful. For instance, like music, there's plenty of genres and there's plenty of things with music, and that's it's a form of entertainment. Film, these are different forms of entertainment, you know, visual, auditory. You also have physical entertainment, exercising and nutrition and eating, drinking, etc. We won't go into the extensive lengths, but you get the idea. So having that in mind is good. But I kind of went off into a tangent, so I would like to reel back to the idea of creating content and organizing it. The creating a challenge, but also knowing and understanding your audience. What do they want? What do they want to see? How do they want it presented? You want to keep these in mind. You don't want to complicate them too much, but you do want to focus your attention on what works. And by what I mean by what works is, what do people like watching, or what do people like experiencing? Do they have that sense of joy? Do they have that sense of connection? I think a lot of the times people are seeing, whenever they see big numbers, they want to be involved. They want a feeling or sense of commonality. They want to be connected to other people that they otherwise aren't connected with.